Welcome to Real Talk with Real Estate Pros, where we bring you exclusive interviews with the real estate experts. We'll delve deep into their journey to success and learn how to go the extra mile to serve their clients' wants and needs. Let's dive in. Here's your host, John Money McKinley.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk with Real Estate Pros. As we're coming to the end of the month here, we've got a great show today lined up. I have my credit expert, Mr. Greg West, and we're going to bring everybody some news on what's going on in the wonderful world of real estate, the wonderful world of finances, and of course, Greg's field of expertise, the world of credit. Greg's got a lot of great information he's going to be sharing with us today, so y'all definitely want to stay tuned for this show. But I do want to make a request out there. You know, we've been getting some more viewers and some more stuff's been going on. Been having a lot of great guests on, and definitely want to give a thanks to all the guests that I've had on in the past and to the future guests that'll be coming on. But I really like y'all out there to do me a favor. Please subscribe to my channel. It's a simple thing. Just click on the thing that says subscribe. And please do me a favor, like these shows and share them with your friends. And of course, we're always looking for great real estate experts we can have on the show. So if you know anybody who is a real estate expert, please, you've got my text number that's right up there. Please feel free to text me their name and telephone number, and I'll reach out to them and give them a call. And of course, as always, if you have any questions on the wonderful world of credit and mortgages and financing and want somebody to give you a true, honest opinion on what your situation is in the world of real estate, please feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a text, and we'll schedule a meeting. But with that said, I'd like to welcome on Mr. Greg West. How are you on this fine morning, sir?
Great, John. How you doing, bud? Glad to be back.
I'm doing good. Well, thank you very much. We're glad you're back. How are things in the secret hidden mountains of where you are in Kentucky as you hide the credit secrets so the federal agencies don't find you?
The compound is in great shape.
That's a good thing. All the perimeters are secure.
Exactly.
Well, that's a good thing. Well, like I said, I want to get into this. We got a lot of good information, and let's go ahead and start things off. We do have a lot going on in the world of real estate. I'm sure everybody out there who's been looking into either buying a home or selling a home is sitting there wondering, what in the heck is happening with prices? When are we going to see some relief in the prices? When are we going to see some relief in the interest rates? And just here's some indicators of what we've seen here, and we can go back and look at this all the way back. We've got three different comparisons here. We have 2024, which of course this is where we're at now. That will give us an idea of where the trends are moving from. We've had just back in 4/8, 30 homes went under contract. But if we look all the way up to 4/15, we're looking at 50 homes have gone under contract. And now we're back looking here at 4/22. 43 homes are under contract. So we've definitely seen a little bit of dipping down in 2024 and then a definite move up in the homes coming under contract. And of course, we can go back and look at 2023, which compared to 2022 definitely seemed to be a starting of a downward trend in real estate homes under contract. And this is, of course, I'm pulling up the Woodlands because that just so happens to be where my office is located. So make it a little bit closer to home for me, that is. And here's another good indicator of days on the market. And if we go back and look at 2024, we were all the way up at the beginning of the year, the end of January, at an average of 120 days on market. And that completely dropped down right after we got through January, which that's a normal, that's typically what happens in the world of real estate, just getting past Christmas. And I'm sure you see the same thing there in Kentucky where you're at, Greg.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know, everybody kind of slows down after Christmas and recovers.
Yep. Usually around February, March starts picking back up.
Exactly. And then, of course, as we get around here, like I said, February and March, we start leveling out and we're starting to move back again in an upward trend. And in the Woodlands area, it's looking here that 2024 is on pace to have a little bit higher average days on market than we did in 2023. I mean, we were all the way down in 2022 at 31 days around the same time just a couple years ago. Then, of course, we go here, we start looking at price reduction as the number one indicator of future sales. And we can definitely see here is we've had a large tick up in 2024 of price reduction. 24 homes back in February, it ticked down a little bit in March, but we're already starting to go back up on the upward trend. And this is something that everybody out there who's looking to buy a home right now wants to take into consideration. Sellers now that want to sell are actually going to be offering, in some cases, some incentive for you to buy. And when I say incentive, means they may help you out with your closing costs. And I always tell this to people is when you're looking at buying a home, be careful on going, I just want to get a little bit lower price than they're asking, because lowering the price by $4,000 or $5,000 is really not going to save you that much money on your down payment or that much money over the long life of the loan as far as monthly payments. When you can take a savings of, let's say, $5,000 and use that and reduce your out-of-pocket money. That is one of the best ways that I always recommend to people, because let's be honest, dollars don't seem to go as far as they used to, do they, Greg?
Oh, absolutely not. Everything's, in some cases, 2-3 times as high, depending on what you're looking at.
Exactly. So I tell folks, I want to help you keep as much money in your pocket as possible, because especially in these times, the more money you have in your pocket, the better. It's great to have equity in a home. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of having equity or putting down a good down payment. However, that's dead equity when it's in your home until you either sell or have a or do a refinance. So keep that in mind when you're out there looking at purchasing a home. We've taken a look here at some more trends, real estate data, and then we're looking here at the Woodlands home prices monthly. And once again, we are definitely ticking upward on a continuing rise in prices. Now, in 2022, we were really at the peak at $620 for the medium home price, but looking right now, we're back to $613. So if this trend continues, at least in the Woodlands, we're definitely going to be continuing to see an uptick here in this area. And with that said, I'd like to let's take a look here in the Houston market forecast and see what the Houston market's looking like. Single family home sales rose 7.6% year over year, the third increase in the past year. Days on market of single family homes went from 64 to 57 days. Total property sales rose 7% with 7,541 units sold. The top dollar volume was up 11.8% to $2.9 billion. And in the Houston area, the single-family home median price rose 3% for $329,686. So we've definitely had a good upward trending market in the Houston area. And I think a lot of that has to do with we still have a fantastic job market here in the Houston area. We've always been very lucky here in the Houston area, at least since I've been in Houston since '88. And, we were coming out of a lot of the downturn of the oil crunch and all the crash that happened back in the 70s and early 80s. But we've been going very nicely here in Houston because Houston really seems to have done a great job at diversifying as far as the type of industries that we have here.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you mentioned the employment part, because that's one of the questions I get asked a lot with interest rates and inflation is it sounds counterproductive because the economy has to be doing worse for the rate. They have to decreased demand for a product, which they do it one of two ways: getting interest rates higher than inflation, which is never going to happen at this point, or creating a lesser demand with unemployment, unfortunately. So yeah, but you're saying that's why your homes are still going up, because your employment's good down there.
Exactly. And unfortunately, I mean, and to be honest with people, I do not have the ability to predict the future of what interest rates are going to do. I can tell you what I'm seeing, and I can tell you what the federal government is doing. And the federal government has given us every indication that they have no plans on lowering our interest rates anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, it causes a waiting game. People are waiting for the rates to go down, but then once they start lowering them, people assume that they're going to keep lowering them, so they wait longer and longer to try to get loans. So they're going to try to hold off as long as possible before they start retracing. My opinion, not financial advice, of course.
No, exactly. And we do not give financial advice here. We are not financial experts. I am a licensed mortgage professional. Mr. West is a credit professional, but we do not give financial advice. We give our opinions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how is the Houston market currently doing? In February, the Houston housing market displayed a notable surge in activity, showcasing promising momentum for prospective buyers and sellers alike. According to the Houston Association of Realtors, February 2024 market update, the region witnessed a significant increase in single-family home sales compared to the same period last year. That's an uptick. This uptick marks the third consecutive monthly rise, signaling a positive trend after a series of fluctuations in the past year. So those of us that are in the Houston market, the sky's the limit. Things are looking very nice. And as I tell people, you don't want to buy just to buy. You want to buy if it's going to be a place that you're planning on staying at for a while. And it is a way to build equity, and it is a way to kind of get your roots established someplace. And then in the future, when you're ready to make a change, you've typically acquired some equity in the property. So that way now you've got yourself to where, okay, we're getting ready to sell. Now we're going to be able to go ahead and pull that equity out when we sell our home and use that for our move forward. Now, here's another one that I wanted to bring. It's a short one here. This is from our friends at Texas A&M Research Center. And it's a very short article, but it caught my eye. In Conroe, Palmetto MDR will open their first units of its Cottage Green development this fall. That's 197 cottage-style homes. They're going to have 197 college-style homes. Going to be off of Loop Southwest Loop 336 near Grand Central Park. And if anybody's familiar with the north area up here in the Conroe area, that's kind of like the small mini little loop. I call it the mini Loop 610 in the Conroe area. Here's what caught my eye. The community will have a walking loop, wetlands preserve, and a beer and wine garden. How can you go wrong with that? You know, my grandfather, back when I was a child growing up, I would ask him from time to time, hey, Grandpa, where are you coming back from? Where'd you go? Oh, I was just at the beer garden. And I thought he was lying to me because I had never seen this beer garden. I had never heard of a real beer garden. Well, by God, it's here now, Greg.
Congrats.
Wait a minute. Does that mean you have to get to our age to where the beer gardens appear? Is this what happens?
Hopefully not.
But with that said, something good happening in the development going on up here on the north side of Houston. Now, here's another interesting article that I saw. It's over there in Fort Bend Development aims to take cars out of the picture. And this new community in Richmond, over on the southwest side of town, is under construction, will emphasize on pedestrian-focused living and include a 42-acre community farm.
Oh, wow.
Now, this looks like it was created with the nice AI. This was clearly not the work of Chad. This was clearly the work of some just less effective AI assistant, but kind of gives you an idea of what they're looking at doing. New 800 home community under construction in Richmond. wants to change how suburban homeowners think about their cars. And there's a better picture of it. The 235-acre plot located near Texas 99 and US 90 in Fort Bend County was developed by Meyerstream Communities as a place designed for humans, not cars, capital, or corporations. The homes at Indigo will have rear or side garages, leaving the front open for pedestrian safe area, with large front porches and stoops facing green spaces rather than roads. So basically what it sounds like to me is all the streets are in the back of the house where the garages are, and all the front of the houses is basically like a nice little community area where if your children run outside or your dog runs outside, as long as they don't run around to the back, they don't have to worry about getting run over.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it caught my eye. I saw that. I'm like, that's definitely interesting. Definitely be something for everybody here in the Houston area, especially if you're down there in the Richmond area. Please let me know what's going on. If you're out in that way, take a picture if you can. Love to see how this is going. And with that said, I would like to dive into Greg's field of expertise here and kind of jump into the wonderful world of credit, because I know I get a lot of questions on the world of credit, how it works, how come somebody pulled their credit score and came up with one score, and then they come to me for the mortgage and I pull the credit score and we have different numbers, and they're just thinking I'm trying to do them wrong and not give them a good deal because I'm trying to give them some bogus credit number. And Greg, I'll let you take it away because you are our credit expert, sir.
All right. Well, what you've got pulled up there, we're not going to read the whole thing, obviously, but I was doing some work in the FICO 10 and 10T, some of the changes that are going to be affecting people. And I'm going to have to backtrack on some stuff I've said about the Vantage score in the past, where I pissed on it a lot because I didn't think it was very useful. But with changes that are coming, which is going to be in your mortgage industry with this stuff, Vantage is going to be kind of important now. I had found out some things that I previously didn't know, but we'll kind of get into it. And I'm going to be looking down so I didn't want to read the whole article, but I circled some highlighted some areas I wanted to talk about.
Can you go ahead and kind of let the audience know here, Greg? You're saying Vantage score and FICO score. If you could just take a quick moment and kind of give everybody a brief description about the two. And I mean, I don't want to turn it into a long draw, but just kind of give everybody an idea of what those terms mean.
Okay. The FICO score was, don't quote me on exact dates, but I think it was the 1950s. It was started by the Fair Isaac Company, a mathematician and an engineer. I don't remember their names, but they calculated they had a scoring formula where instead of where it used to be just a handshake, look people in the eye, they came up with a formula to see how people pay their bills. And in essence, that's been the standard for decades. And they'd update the scoring model roughly every 5 years or so. That's why you have FICO 2, 4, 5, 8, and up now 10 and 10T and everything. But then the Vantage score was created. And at the time, because it's been around, I think 4 or 5 years now, I didn't give it a lot of thought just because it's completely different from the FICO model. Like if you use Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Capital One uses Credit Wise, these all give you a Vantage score. And now even with TransUnion, when you buy it from them, you're getting a Vantage. Well, what it is, the Vantage score was actually created by TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. And they created a separate company and founded it to basically compete with FICO, is what's going on.
So wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm understanding. So TransUnion and Experian and Equifax got together, or just TransUnion and Experian?
All three of them working together, which I thought was peculiar. But now I see what's coming down the road. I kind of see what this is all about.
That couldn't be collusion, could it, sir?
I think it's going to eventually end up being a social credit score type thing, because I've seen a lot of what they call, when you try to get explanations on it, what they call machine driven, which AI and machines, that's code word for AI in my opinion. I can't prove that, but that's probably what it is.
They do like to use code words in a lot of things they do to
They do.
slip it
They
past
do.
you, and then years later it comes out and goes, "Oh no, that's exactly what we meant. What do you mean? We were disclosing everything."
But yeah, some of the things coming down the road with the FICO, what they're basically changing is you're going to have about 40 million people have it go up potentially 20, 40 points, about 40 million have it go down 20, 40 points. The main difference with the FICO 10T is they're changing some of the parameters of the credit card utilization and debt. They're going back 2 years or more, kind of looking at your history. So say if you're someone that's had the same credit card debt for years and years, and you keep transferring balances over, you're not really paying it down, they're going to be paying more attention to that kind of stuff now. So you'll be one of the ones, and that's the way I'm at least interpreting what's going on. It doesn't really say specifically, because they kind of code word everything, but that's the way I interpret that the people that are going to be hurt are the ones that are working the system with the debt, transferring to zero balances and just keep credit card churning in essence.
Okay, so the debt swappers are going to be the ones that are going to be at the disadvantage, and the people that pay their balances off every month are probably going to come in at a little better advantage. Is that fair to say? That's
the way I interpret it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And also in your defense, what they've done is for now, consumers are not going to be able to buy the FICO 10T, but they can still buy the FICO 8. So when you pull their credits, obviously it's going to be different than the FICO score mining 8. So you might as well, if you're planning on buying a home, get a free FICO, like from the Experian app, and use that as a guide just to see where you're roughly at before you have and then approach John and have him pull it, because they're going to have to do it anyway. So there's no sense spending money to buy a score because it's not going to be right anyway.
Now, what I'm wondering is what you're telling me based on where this is going, especially if TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are all working together with this new model. That wouldn't surprise me if that doesn't become the model that we go off of in the lending institution, because it seems, and this is once again just my thoughts on what's happened, is that would always be a big issue between me and borrowers, and not just me, any lender. You know, if you pull your credit score and it comes up to be 720, and then I pull it and it comes up to be a 660, well, you know, it starts a very uncomfortable relationship with the borrower to begin with, because they think you're pulling the wool over their eyes.
Oh, sure.
And it just happens to be that, hey, wait a minute, that really wasn't the case. That was just a new model that the credit reporting agencies were using. And that makes sense. If they want to get that model in to the companies, they just keep feeding it to the consumer for $1 here and $1 there, get the consumer comfortable with it, and then cause the issues that happen. And then next thing we know, well, hey, we're here with a credit reporting agency. We're here to help you people in the mortgage industry and see how much better our scoring model is, and will allow your loans to perform at a higher level.
Well, what it's coming down to with the Vantage is you can now get a score after 1 month of history. FICO usually takes about 6 months. And Vantage is also taking advantage of, which this explains why Experian brought out their Boost program, which I was not a big fan of unless you have zero credit. If you already have established credit, the Boost is just adding numbers there that can hurt you on the debt to income on a home. But so they're catering to supposedly, again, numbers 30. They say there's 37 million people that are ghosts. So they don't have a score at all. So this is to try to get them scores by adding rent, utilities, phones, and 1 month history, and get more home buyers out there. Supposedly the ranges that are not represented as well.
Okay. Would you like me to switch to the next scene, sir?
Sure, man.
Okay. Bad news. The new FICO score changes could impact the credit cards you qualify for.
Yeah, I kind of went into that already. This was kind of some duplicate stuff, but it's basically they're taking the previous 24 months instead of what those carrying the balances month to month. Now, they do mention this as well, and I'm not sure how they're implementing this, because it's always been the how you pay your bills has always been 35% of what your score is. Now they're stating, this is according to Dave Schellenberger, the FICO VP of Product Management, says consumers with recent delinquency or high utilization are likely going to see a downward shift, and depending on the severity and recency of the delinquency, it could be significant. So it sounds like you're going to be penalized even further than what you were for delinquency or high credit utilization. So I don't know if they're changing percentages based on what's occurred in the last 24 months or how they're doing that, but again, they never give you details because it's all proprietary information on this stuff. So yeah, there's going to, whether you've done anything wrong or not, yeah, some people are going to see a boost, some are going to see a decline just because they changed the rules.
So basically what it sounds like, as well as this is really going to put a sting on your credit if you make a slow pay, if you have a missed payment.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. It's also really going to put a sting on your credit if you are running high balances, high credit card utilization.
Yeah, and I would tell you this now, I'm getting it from multiple clients. Once you hit that 30% utilization, credit card companies are starting to send letters where they're lowering credit limits now, because you're getting into the high risk of them, because credit card defaults are an all-time high. And so that'll just further exacerbate the problem. If you have $10,000 credit card, you owe $5,000, and then they lower your limit to $6,000, you're $1,000, you're already at 80, 90% utilization when you were only at 30 or 40% before. And so you need to do the best you can. I know times are tough, but try to get them paid down, because they're not helping you by doing that. They're making it worse.
No. And I recommend to people, if you have a home and you're got a lot of credit card debt and struggling at it, because we've seen it. The credit card rates are through the roof right now. You may think, no, I'm on a low rate. You may be on a low interest rate, but you might want to check that nice little statement you get all the time every month and see what you're at, because they have been raising these rates, especially if you're out of the period of where you get the low rates, you get the teaser rates, as I call them, and see, because I can't tell you how many people I've been able to help by using that equity. Yes. Did they get a little bit higher interest rate than they were on their home to begin with? Yes. But if we're eliminating $1,500 a month in unsecured debt that's at 15, 16, even some of them up to 29%, Greg, interest rate.
Yeah.
And we can take that out, and your payment only goes up by $300, last time I checked, that's $1,200 a month savings. Now you're out of debt, except for your house. Your life becomes a much more comfortable situation, and I strongly recommend this to everybody. If you're going to do that, you cannot go back to using those credit cards. You've got to get your financial life in order, because once you eliminate all that credit card debt, if all you have left is your housing, you should be able to get through what's going on in the greatest economy ever.
Right.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
And if you're going to do that, you need to take advantage before it gets to that point. Because once you hit 30%, 40%, your score's dropping quick, and then you may not even be able to borrow your way out of it doing that.
Exactly. I mean, I can't tell you. There's some people I look at with their credit scores, and it's like, man, if you had just come to me a couple months earlier, we could have done something. But now your scores dropped lower, and we just don't have the options for you that are going to make any practical sense for you.
Yeah.
And let me go to the next story for you, sir. And this has to do reject all. I don't want that. New changes coming to credit scoring models, credit reporting.
All right. I went over a lot of this already too, but this is where I was saying I might have to backtrack on pissing on the Vantage score. Because again, I thought it was useless. Most lenders don't use it. I did find out, I couldn't verify it, but there was an article that stated that apparently Synchrony Bank has actually went to pulling Vantage instead of FICO scores. And Synchrony has a lot of your department stores. But
yeah, Synchrony loves the department stores. That seems to be the go-to creditor for department stores.
Yep. Well, I think it's going to be it's been pushed back, but eventually in your mortgage business there by the end of, looks like the end of 2025, potentially before that, instead of pulling all three credit scores, they're actually going to be pulling what they call a bi-merge, and one of those is going to be the Vantage 4.0 score.
Wow.
And, yeah. So it's going to have a big impact, I guess, here soon, at least in the mortgage industry. And then, of course, once the mortgage industry is involved, a lot of inquiries, you'll probably have other people jumping on board instead of using FICO because they're direct competitors. It's the three agencies opened it, and I guess if they had to pay FICO every time someone pulled it, I guess they're trying to cut costs that way maybe and get their own thing going. Just for all three of them working together, it was odd.
Yeah, that is definitely. No, I appreciate you bringing that up to my audience here, because this is some very important information. And yeah, there's definitely going to be some changes. And this is something that I definitely need to keep an eye on myself in my industry and see what's happening from Fannie and Freddie and Ginnie, because those are the main sources of, let's be honest, there's really only three sources that buy traditional mortgages: conventional FHA and government-backed loans, which is your Fannie and Freddie and Ginnie. And
yeah,
I don't see only one making the change. I see if Fannie Mae makes the change, Freddie will make the change, and then so on down the line. They all kind of seem to, I mean, you've got your little bit of nuances between Fannie and Freddie, but they all pretty much run the same road.
Yeah. And it's something we've talked about in the past, of having to adapt. Because, man, times are different. Things are changing quick. And I should have looked into the Vantage, what it was. But, man, they do this stuff decades in advance when they plan stuff. So that's why I never took it serious enough to look more into what it actually was.
Well, that's definitely a great catch. I appreciate it. And with that said, I'd like to move to our feature that we like to wrap the show up with that seems to have gotten a very good following. I will call in our person to do the introduction, sir.
Now it's time for Real Estate in Space, where only NASA knows if it's real or if it's CGI.
Real Estate in Space. Today, we're not quite going to space with this article here or the next article coming up, but I thought this was very interesting. Because, there's a whole bunch of controversy that goes on with chemtrails. Are they real? Are they fake? Are they barium? Are they strontium? What are they? Who knows? But I found this very interesting. Cloud brightening. First in the nation tech aims to cool our warming planet, excuse me. I got confused there. I apologize, sir. Scientists are testing a controversial idea in the Bay Area for cooling our warming planet. In Alameda, the group is using the first technology in the country to test ways to brighten clouds in an effect to cool the globe. The project is being held on the USS Hornet. I guess that is a military ship, I would assume.
I would assume so, yeah.
Oh, Jessica, who is one of the scientists from the University of Washington's Marine Cloud Brightening Project in the Bay Area, said Alameda provides the perfect cloud conditions over the bay. Sarah, senior research scientist with the University of Washington, the program director for the Cloud Brightening Project, said right now they need to figure out if their end goal is even possible and how much impact it could have. And here we go. She's professor for environmental studies, is excited about the research. However, she cautions that as the Earth continues to heat up, the various ideas for cooling the world are not without controversy. Geoengineering altogether is a pretty controversial issue. Yes, we know that. Benefits, trying to cool down, not quite sure. Kind of negative effects or feedback. Looked at this point and I'm looking for it. I really didn't see them getting into any details of exactly what are they doing to do this. You know, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. Have you noticed when you'll go outside and that sun just seems kind of got that wonderful, haze that's kind of sitting up there in the sky and just feels like that sun is just burning, like it's 85, 90 degrees, and you get in your truck and look at the thermostat, it's like 70. Have you noticed that in Kentucky?
I do. Yeah. I compare it to having me like frying an ant with a magnifying glass. And it's, when you look at it, it's a hot white look. Whereas when I was a kid, I swear it was yellow. I just remember it that way. But man, I don't know. They've been screwing around with stuff for decades, and of course, all kinds of conspiracies. Of course, you know what the joke was. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality?
Time.
About 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of dig into and definitely keep our eye out on that. And so if we see more reflectiveness up in the sky, I think we'll know that they've kind of started moving it out full fledged.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it's obvious. Good gosh.
Yeah. And then I'd like to wrap up with this. This is some sad news for anybody that's ever been to the magical Space Mountain. The countdown to Space Mountain closing forever has begun, Mr. West. Oh, no. The final ignition, celebrating the final. Oh, look, you can get a final ignition. Oh, no. It's Tokyo Disneyland that this is happening in. Yep, Space Mountain. Wow, they're actually, looks like they're literally going to be tearing down Space Mountain in Tokyo, which I ask myself this, okay, if they're doing this in Tokyo, how long is it going to be until they start doing it here in the American facilities? And then they say right here, future plans for 2027, and it looks like they're going to do a completely redone new design.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if they're going to put something new in or just dangerous or what the problem was.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, when was that thing? At least the one in the States was put together in California in what, the late 60s, early 70s?
Oh, yeah. Probably time to upgrade that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic ride. If anybody's ever ridden it, they know it's a classic ride. I mean, it goes probably about 30, 35 miles an hour, but because it's in the dark with all the special effects, it's actually a fun ride. But, well, with that said, Greg, I definitely always want to thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And please, if you would, if anybody wants to get a hold of you or has any questions on credit or their credit, please, Greg, how can they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is contacting my phone, 859-625-4546. You can text me as well, call. If I don't answer, I'm on the phone a lot. Just leave a message. I'll get back to you pretty quick. And doesn't cost anything to talk to me. If I can't help you, I'll push you in the direction of someone who can. And if I can, of course, I'll do the best I can for you.
Oh, perfect. And just to let my guests know, I've known Mr. West and his family for, over 25 years now. And Greg's always done a fantastic job. And I really appreciate you, Greg, for you take the time to work with my clients and help them. And you shoot them straight. If you can't help them, you tell them, look, there's no reason to give me money. Just do this, this, and this, and that should take care of your problem. Whether they do it or not, well.
That's the thing. They got to follow through. It's not a cookie cutter program anymore, man. Every situation's different. And I've seen about every situation out there. Been doing it 25 years or so. Kind of lost track.
Yeah.
And I've been the one doing it. Yeah.
A lot has changed, but that's what I appreciate about you is, you keep everybody up to speed on what's going on, and you, as changes come, just like you brought us here today, you're there on top of it. Well, with that said, I'm going to wind the show down. If you don't mind hanging out in the green room for a little bit, Mr. West, I got a couple things I want to run by you, and I just want to tell everybody, thank you very much for being here. Once again, this is Real Talk with Real Estate Pros, heard every Wednesday on YouTube as well as Facebook at 11:30 a.m. And please do me a favor. If you like what you're seeing here, leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, if you need to get a hold of me and you have any questions on the wonderful world of mortgages, please just shoot me a text. Give me your name and number in the text, and I'll definitely call you back. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a great week, and I will see you all next week.